You're not looking at an in-flight infotainment system. Rather, this is a DIY version of many real-life in-flight infotainment systems. Meet PIS, or the Passenger Infotainment System, which is basically an infotainment screen, as the name suggests, for the rear passengers of my vehicle. I love to fly, and more so ever since modern commercial airliners began providing entertainment screens for each and every passenger on their flights. I've always been fascinated by these little screens, and being a fan of all things tech, I've always been forced to think more about the technology behind these screens rather than glue myself in front of a movie while I'm flying. And lately, I had also been fascinated by the idea of installing a similar infotainment screen in my vehicle. But any general aftermarket infotainment screen wouldn't suffice for two reasons. First one, most of the aftermarket screens that I came across were either too expensive or a bit too fancy. Personally, I am not a fan of fancy user interfaces. I want the screen to look professional, neat, and simple. I also want the user interface and the whole product itself to blend in with the interior theme of my vehicle. I personally am not attracted to products which make it obvious that they are an aftermarket installation. So when it comes to extra fittings, I am adamant that it blends in with the vehicle. Developing a custom system was clearly the only solution to meet these requirements. And the second reason for not getting an aftermarket installation? Where's the fun in that? Trust me, building my own system has been by far my best learning experience.
എന്തായിരുന്നു സംസാരിച്ചത്? നാളത്തെ ദുബായ് ഫ്ലൈറ്റിൽ പോകുന്ന സുഭാഷ് എന്ന ചെറുപ്പക്കാരന്റെ ഡിപ്ലോമാറ്റ് പെട്ടിയിൽ ഹാഷിഷ് കടത്തുന്നുണ്ട്.
Moving on to the features that PIS has to offer. So, as soon as the vehicle is started, the system greets you with this logo, which is then followed by the home screen. At this point, I should tell you that this vehicle has been internet enabled, and most of the features of PIS require an active connection to the internet. This is where you can receive live news headlines as they are released. How this works basically is it pulls its content from the RSS feed of ANI and displays it on the screen. Now, since I and my family are interested in news items from India and the Middle East, I've chosen to display news items from these regions. It's totally customizable. ANI has RSS feeds for all the different regions, and you can choose which ones you want. On the bottom left-hand corner of the screen is a home button which takes you back to the home screen. The entertainment button connects you to my Plex Media server, which is located in Sharjah, where my family resides. This screen here informs the viewers about the two choices they have to listen to the audio playback. They can either use the headphones provided or they can listen through the vehicle's loudspeaker. By the time the media gets loaded, let me talk a bit about the dual screen setup here. Both the screens always display the same content. However, they both accept touch input. So if a user wants to interact with the system, they can touch on either of the two screens. This is besides a gyro-enabled remote which moves the cursor as you tilt it. There's also a keypad on the remote which makes it easier to search for videos on platforms like YouTube and Plex. Now, I could have designed PIS to enable displaying separate content on each screen, but I felt that was not needed. Not because I was too lazy to work on it, but because if everyone in the vehicle is lost in their own separate world of entertainment, that simply spoils the purpose of embarking on a journey together. Personally, I don't enjoy working on projects that isolate humans from other humans. It's a much better sight to see viewers enjoying the same content and passing comments on it, rather than stay silent throughout the journey. I strongly believe that every developer and technologist should have this ability to analyze the impact their technology brings to humans once they have been implemented. This should help them to develop their product in a way that it influences humans in a positive manner. What you see here is the regular Plex interface, and Plex users must be familiar with these screens. For those of you who have no idea on what Plex is basically a personal form of Netflix. The only difference here is that instead of streaming media from Netflix, you stream your own personal collection of media over the internet from maybe your hard disk back home or your desktop PC. Basically, it's you streaming your own media over the internet to whatever device you want to watch it on, no matter where you are. This on the screen right now is an ad about Sangeetholsavam, which is basically an online radio that I run off the server in Sharjah. Sangeetholsavam in my language, Malayalam, means Festival of Music. Sangeetholsavam keeps playing back to back Malayalam, Hindi, and Tamil songs which were released before the year 2000. Sangeetholsavam can be streamed on your cell phones, laptops, and tablets by accessing www.sangeetholsavam.com. And here's a popular Tamil movie titled Alai Payude being streamed on PIS using Plex.
இந்த பொண்ணுங்க யாரு?
இவதான் நான் கல்யாணம் பண்ணிக்க போற பொண்ணு.
யாருடா?
இந்த பக்கம் வயலட் கூட வர.
அண்டே நிஜமா கல்யாணம் பண்ணிக்க போறேன்.
The next button is to stream Sangeetholsavam using PIS. Now, how this is different from using your cell phone or your tablet to stream Sangeetholsavam is that a copy of this site has been stored locally on PIS so that only the audio stream makes use of the data connection. Our next button is pretty self-explanatory. It lets you stream YouTube. Now, after having used PIS for about 2 months now, I feel that YouTube is easier to be controlled using the remote rather than touch inputs. Also, to return to the home screen from YouTube, the home button has to be pressed on the remote. On-screen home button could not be enabled for YouTube for technical reasons.
ആശിഷ് കടത്തുമുണ്ട്. കോച്ചി തന്നെ സാധനം കൊടുത്തയച്ചിട്ട് അയാൾ തന്നെ ആ ഇൻഫർമേഷൻ പോലീസിന് പാസ് ചെയ്യുന്നു. സ്പെഷ്യൽ സ്ക്വാഡുകാർ സുഭാഷിനെ പിടിച്ചാൽ അത് ആര് കൊടുത്തയച്ചെന്നവൻ പറയും, ജാക്ക് നന്നയച്ചാണെന്ന് പറയും. എക്സാക്ട്ലി.
The remote, unlike TV remotes, do not use IR to operate, so they do not need to be in line of sight with the screen. This is an example of how the remote can be used to type and manually search for videos. Our next function is the map. The map provides pretty much the same function that flight path displays provide. It shows you where you are on a map and it tracks your movement and reflects that on the display. It makes use of the Google Maps API called voice position. However, precisely pinpointing your location on a map requires the use of a GPS module, which I have not yet been able to obtain. It looks similar to this when the whole thing has been enabled. The next function is trip details. Not really needed for a car, but I wanted to give it a try and explore how I can make it work. The screen is meant to display the basic information about a journey. It also displays a small screenshot of the route map and also a small newsfeed related to the trip and the travel path. These details can be submitted using a mobile-friendly web page. This screen simply instructs the passengers on how they can connect to the onboard Wi-Fi. It's just one of my gimmicks to let the passengers know that the vehicle has Wi-Fi without me boasting about it. Wi-Fi has been enabled by installing a USB-powered 4G LTE hotspot dongle. The dongle is powered by the car's battery after the voltage has been reduced down to 5 volts. So that I have Wi-Fi as long as the car is turned on and it shuts off as soon as the car is turned off. Talking more about the technical details of PIS. The brains of the system has been placed in the trunk of my vehicle. I placed it in the trunk so that this cable mess is nowhere in the vicinity of the passengers. The whole system runs on a Raspberry Pi 3B Plus with the Raspbian OS installed. The files have been written in HTML, CSS and JavaScript, so I use Chrome to run the whole thing. I have added a few scripts to load Chrome in full screen kiosk mode as soon as the Raspberry Pi powers up. Chrome's home page has been set to the index file of PIS so that as soon as Chrome is loaded, it takes you to that home page. Also, when the home button on the remote is pressed, that is the equivalent of pressing the home button on the web browser. So basically, pressing the home button on the remote takes you to the home page of the browser, which is the index file of PIS. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed my video. Do share your feedback, and also please keep in mind that I am not an expert, so I might not have followed the best practices, but I am open to your opinions and feedback. Thank you.